Hey, so it's been a little while since I've done one of these. So nice to be back. Did something a little out of the ordinary. I went to the movies on a Thursday night because I don't have rehearsals late at night, and I'm getting a lot of my work done now, so I had a little bit of free time. Um, Came and saw a movie that I'd been looking forward to seeing for a while. I've been seeing a lot of movies here at Ridgeway, and pardon me for 1 second. And every movie I've come to in the last couple weeks has run a trailer for this film, for Denial. And it's one of those films that from the first trailer I saw, I was like, I need to see this movie. This looks really, really good. And I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. I wanted to see it last week. I got sick, so I had other things going on. So, the first free opportunity I had, I came to see this movie because I really wanted to see it. And when your expectations are built up that high, or I don't even say I had huge expectations, but when you're looking forward to something a lot, and you see a trailer or something, you think, wow, this movie looks like it's going to be something special. There's this great chance that it's going to let you down. I mean, that sounds very pessimistic and all that, but it's the truth of life in anything. There's always a chance, but you get a film sometimes that exceeds your expectations, and turns out that it is not only just as good as it looked, but it's flippin' better. I can think of 3 movies that fit into this category in the past 10, 15 years, maybe less. King's Speech, which is one of my favorite movies, Argo, and this one. This film is amazing. This is not just a good movie. This is an important movie. This is an amazing, astonishing film. And I say that not wanting to raise expectations to the point that you go and think it's going to blow your mind. It's some kind of huge revelation or plot twist. It's fairly standard. But the way it is presented, the way it is directed, the way it is written, the way it is acted, all of it is just done to a subtle perfection. This movie is so good that even the parts of it that I did not like, and about halfway through the movie there was a major element, which I'll talk about here in a second, that I really did not like, turned out by the end of the film to have been a deliberate choice, or at least one I think was a deliberate choice by the people who made it, to make an even greater point. And that is so rare. And I loved it. That was a twist I was not expecting. It wasn't like this huge plot twist or this huge reveal. It was a simple thing of, this thing that you kind of hate this movie for, or you just don't like about this movie. It turns out there's a reason that's part of the point, part of the plot of the movie. It was so good. So if you haven't heard of this movie, shame. Not on you, but just on people who don't advertise it. So this is a movie based on a true life trial held around 2000 of a woman, a Holocaust historian, who in one of her books called this guy who is a Holocaust denier, basically called him out, said he was a liar. And he ended up suing her for libel. And this is the story of the trial. And this movie is just freaking awesome. Let me talk about what I didn't like first. I'm going to switch it up. Normally I like to talk about what I did like first and then go into my criticisms. But let me talk about my criticism and then show you why this movie worked. And I'm trying not to spoil stuff, but it's going to be hard. So just know that. So if you want to pause this and go see the movie, you should go see this movie, and then come back and hear my thoughts, fine. So do that now. Spoiler alert, just in case something slips out. So anyway, the major problem I was having with this movie, for a good chunk of it, was the main character played by Rachel Weisz. And I'm mispronouncing her name, and I apologize. Because everyone else felt like they were multi-layered characters, even the villain. Or maybe I should say antagonist, but he's a fucking he's a racist bastard who was saying the Holocaust didn't happen to support his own racist beliefs. So I mean, he's a villain. Sorry. Well, no, I'm not, but anyway. But the way they were portraying her, and there's this problem that happened in the 90s. It happened a lot in the 90s, and it still happens now. Whenever people were writing the quote-unquote strong, independent woman, is they couldn't quite differentiate between a woman being strong and independent and being a bitch. And for a great deal of this movie, this character, and I don't know if this is how she speaks and acts in real life, but the way they were portraying her was this person who spoke in soapbox stump speeches. Everything she said was this, deeply political and well, why don't you think about this kind of thing? And she always acted like she knew everything, and all these lawyers that she'd hired that were telling her, don't do this, don't do this. Well, they didn't know what they were talking about, and she has to stand up for the people that, can't be heard. And the lawyers are going, shut up, don't talk, don't engage him. Don't get into a pissing match. She wanted to put Holocaust survivors on the stands, and they were saying, no, we are absolutely not going to do that, because we are not going to allow this man the chance to humiliate and degrade these people in their experience. She wanted to do it out of a rightly placed sense of obligation and loyalty to these people, and the lawyers, thinking from a logical, analytical point of view, were saying that is the absolute worst thing you can do. You can't rule by emotions. And for a long time, they were making it look like it was going to do one of those lawyer movie things where no, her gut feeling and her emotion was going to show these cold-hearted bastard lawyers how to really do it, and she was going to be right and change all of their hearts. And they had a great scene about midway through the movie after all this, and I'm sitting there going, God, I want to like this movie, and there's a lot of it I like, but I just don't like her. Man, I wish I really liked her. I wish I liked this movie better than I did. And there's a scene halfway through the film where she sits down with her lawyer, played by the amazing Tom Wilkinson. If you don't know Tom Wilkinson, he's the British guy. I mean, he's in a lot of stuff. He's one of these British actors who's freaking brilliant. And they have this great scene where, after a day in court, she kind of looks at him and admits that while she still holds true to what she believes and what she thinks they should have done, that he was actually right in what he was doing, and that he was not a cold-hearted bastard, and that she would do what she was asked and keep her mouth shut. And this plays into what I feel is one of the major themes of this movie. It's not so much about the Holocaust. I mean, that is kind of the backdrop. But what this gets into, to me, and especially, this should be especially poignant right now. And I don't want to get off on a political thing. I don't like that. I don't like political memes on Facebook and all this crap. But I think it's important that we touch on this. What this movie gets at is that when you face off with a bigot or anybody who believes that their point of view, wrong, distorted, twisted, is going to be correct. I don't even know what to phrase them as, but we've all had them. I've had an encounter with one very recently, actually. This person who believed they were entitled to something, having not earned it or worked for it, but believed that they deserved it from me, whether I should just give it to them. And you find you're just talking in circles. And what this movie said, I mean, and this is, let's be honest here. And I'm not going to try to come down on one side or the other, but this has been our political scene for the past several months. our presidential race, supposedly supposed to be, the great, that time when two worthy adversaries, both with good intentions and good deeds in their heart, go at each other with logic and reason and discuss things and, come at things from different points of view, but use reason and logic to prove their point, and we vote on the one that touches us the most is the one we elect. And that is what it's supposed to be. And what has it been? It has been mudslinging. It's been elementary school politics. You suck. Well, you suck more. Well, you suck. Even amongst supporters, all these memes and stuff are all just, I hate Hillary because she wears a pantsuit. Ew, what an ugly bitch. Or I hate Trump because he tweets and says mean things. Ew, none of it is a reasoned, logical debate. And I'm sorry I got off on a tangent, but what this movie is saying, and it does it in a brilliant, bloody way, is that you can't fight a person like that with emotion. You can't come at them like she wanted to do in the movie. She wanted to come at him with, I'll get the Holocaust survivors up there, I'll get the da-da-da-da. And what the lawyers kept trying to tell her is, you can't fight him with that. You need the facts. You need to come at them with logic and watch as these arguments fall apart. It also makes the brilliant point at the end of the film that even if you win the battle, you're never going to get rid of people like this. They are always going to be there. And again, spoiler alert, this movie has one of the best endings, or one of the best close to the ending scenes where, okay, so spoiler, turn this off if you don't want to know the end, where, she wins the case, obviously. And this guy still goes on talk shows basically claiming how he won. He made the superior points, he talked rings around the defense, and she's on the phone with her lawyer, and they're like, oh, he thinks he won. You know what? Let's just turn him off. And they clicked him, and it makes this great point that, you can't fight all of these people. You need to fight the dangerous ones like him. But in the end, these people are always going to be out there, and you have to gauge how much of your time and energy you're going to devote to being pissed off at them. And you can either do like they do and crawl down in the mud with them, or you can go, I said my piece, and go on with life. And this movie did all, and again, so this is kind of the genius of this movie, this subtle subversion of a character trope that you've seen 100 times, and in most films, like I say, she would have come out and no, I'll put the Holocaust survivors on the stand and they'll win and and so slowly circumventing it to go, no, there's a greater purpose at play here. Really well done. So I was ready to come out here and say that she was the weak part of the movie. Actually, I am wrong in that. She played her part very well. But I am going to say I think the other actors in this movie played their parts better. This was a great cast. I talked about Tom Wilkinson, who plays the lawyer, who actually tries the case. A big shout out for me, and this is a guy who, this is a movie that kind of has Oscar bait written all over it, and I think the guy who deserves a huge shout out is the guy whose name isn't above the title, and it's Andrew Scott, I think his last name is. Pardon me, getting over being sick. Who most people know as Moriarty from Sherlock. And this is a guy who has hit a type that he plays and plays well. Pardon me, I'm going to cough again. And I remember seeing him in Spectre, and me and my best friend Matt were watching it, and Matt's like, I'd love to see a movie where this guy didn't play a slime ball. Or an evil slime ball. Well, you got your wish here, Matt. Because he doesn't play, he's still a slime ball. He plays a lawyer. But a good-hearted one, and one who is his snide comments are actually coming from a place of, having to be strong with a strong-willed client. He does a great job in this. I think, though, huge props, huge props, has to go. If I was going to give an Oscar out for this movie, to me it would go to Timothy Spall, who plays the antagonist, who plays the Holocaust denier. Most people know Timothy Spall for a lot of his villain roles. I mean, I think most nerd culture is probably most familiar that he played Wormtail, Peter Pettigrew, in the Harry Potter series. And he's played villains in a lot of other things because he just has that rat-like look to him. He really does. But here's the thing. There's a show he did on BBC. There's several shows he did on BBC that are really charming. But there's one he did, it was basically a reality show, more of a documentary, where he and his wife, they sold their house and they own a boat, they live on the boat, and they sail the boat basically around England. And watching this, you can see what a charming and sweet and good-hearted English gentleman he is. I love the show. My parents and I watch it. Apparently, it was one of the Queen's favorite shows. When it was on, they'd get her advance copies of it. I mean, that's what's on the DVD box. It's called Out to Sea, I think. If anybody wants to go look on the BBC catalog or something and find it, it's a fun little show. Well worth a watch. So I highly recommend it. So anyway, you can see from that show just what a sweetheart he is, and just what a nice guy. And that is the tool of any great actor, that he can play this scuzzball and do it with such conviction. He does an amazing job in this film, and that's not easy. And he doesn't overplay the character. He doesn't overplay him as kind of twisting his mustache kind of thing. He gets just the right amount of deluded and evil and all these things, and what makes him evil, makes him a really great villain, is you can see this person existing in life, which of course he does, because he's a real person, and there are millions like him. And so I mean, that's a hard thing to do, and he does it brilliantly in this film. So yeah, the cast is really something to be celebrated here. The directing is very well done. Simple shots. Man, I gotta tell you, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything you can do to make this not work, but they do a scene where the lawyer and her go to Auschwitz. Whew, man, that is a powerful scene, and it's all done very subtly. And I don't know if they use computers or whatnot to kind of get some of these effects, but it was during winter, so there's this fog over the place, and it just, even on the movie screen, God, it just radiates misery and death. And one of those scenes that you're just, and they could have shown you really gruesome shots and all this, but they didn't. They just put the camera there, let the atmosphere hang, and it's just like, oh God, it was uncomfortable in that good way. Boy, this is really selling it, and selling it in a subtle, understated way, and not shoving my face in it like a dog who had an accident on the rug. Of course, I'll be honest with you, I think you could show Auschwitz in the most gorgeous summer day that ever was, and it would still, send chills up your spine. At least it should. If it doesn't, there's something emotionally wrong with you, in my opinion. So those shots were really, man, those were hardcore. And again, in a subtle way. I'll compare it to Jaws. With Jaws, the original, you very rarely saw the shark, and all of it done with music cues, suggested things, point of view shots, and people came out of that movie originally swearing that you saw the shark all this time. But Spielberg, through dumb luck, kind of happened into this great Hitchcockian kind of suspense where it's what you don't see, it's the suggestion of what you see that gets the human mind going. Our imagination is so strong and so good. You give us the suggestion, and the human mind is going to run with it every time. And that's what they did with this. They didn't feel the need to do all these flashbacks and do all this gruesome stuff. They just showed you the place and shot it really well and let you kind of go, holy God, what the hell did we do? What the hell led to this? I mean, really. Man, I am so glad I went out and saw this movie. So if you cannot tell by now, because I'm about to park and I don't have much more to say, I could go on about this movie, but it would go on and on and on and on and on, and I'd just kind of be circling the drain. So let me put this very simply as I park and as I get ready to go into it's 9 o'clock and I still have one more day of work before the weekend, so I gotta get in and shower and all this. So let me put this on. Whoa, that's bright. Oh, let's do it anyway. Let me put this very simply. This movie, Denial, is amazing. This is a great movie. This is a movie that I think people need to see. Not necessarily because, it's going to educate you or teach you anything, but because it's just a well-made movie, well-acted, good story, good characters. It's a movie where nothing explodes. I think they swore once. And people deal with their problems logically with words and not machine guns. Now, I say that, not trying to be hypocritical. I love Captain America and all that as much as the next guy. But, God, how nice it felt to sit and watch a movie that talked to me like a bloody adult. Okay? God, how good that felt. I wish there were more movies like this. There need to be more movies like this, but there are not going to be more movies like this because they don't sell. And that's a damn shame. So, I say, go see this movie. Because people need to see movies like this. So they will keep making movies like this. We can have the action, we can have the adventure, we can have the special effects extravaganzas. But damn it, we need movies like this to ground us and give us some kind of human connection. This is a movie that is a strong argument for why movies are an art. More so than any pretentious art house film. So, that is my opinion. Take it or leave it. Go see this bloody movie. Alright? So, I gotta get inside. I may try to check out another movie this weekend. Until next time, drive safe, and I will see you at the movies.